All right, we're back doing the unit circle now. So I have another video where I go into detail and depth about why the unit circle is the way it is. So that video is a little bit longer. So if you go to my blog there, you'll find that video right here where it says filling out the unit circle, memorize it for the test. So watch that to really understand in depth. But we'll show you how fast it really is with the pattern on this video and not really go into depth exactly like how come or anything like that. Awesome. Okay, let's see here. There we go. Okay, so we might need to unlock this because it seems like it might be a bit too small or not. What is going on? Let's see here. Just dotting everywhere. Oh well, guess we'll just go for it. Never mind. Okay, here we go. Might have to jump around a little bit, but we got this. Okay, so first of all, going for the degrees and then also radians. So starting off at 0 and going all the way around to 360, right? So each one of these is 30 degrees. So this will be 30. Skipping the little one, that's 15 degrees. So 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180 degrees. We're just adding 30 over and over and over again. So after 180 is 210, and then 240, and then 270, and then 300, 330, and then 360. Okay, so then each of these little ones in between, oh, messed up already, sorry. So 330 goes right there. And then, so each of these then is 15 degrees, right? So 300 plus 15 is 315 degrees. Each of these is 30, and then each of these is 15. So 315 plus 15 is 330, and then 330 plus 30 is 360. Cool. So that means that this right here is 225 because 210 plus 15. Awesome. And then up here, there we go. We've got, let's see, so 30 plus 15 is 45. There we go. And then over here, 120 plus 15 is 135. So there's all the degrees filled in, 0 all the way down to 360. Next is doing radians. And so radians also follows the pattern. So 30, the equivalent of 30 is 1 pi over 6, or pi over 6. And so that's what we're going to count by. We're going to count by pi's over 6, okay? So that's 1 pi over 6. This one is 2 pi over 6. This one is 3 pi over 6. We're going to reduce it later. This one's 4 pi, so we're counting by pi's over 6. So this one we can actually write in finally. So 4 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6. This one's 6 pi over 6, and think about it, the 6's cancel just to reduce to be pi, which is half a circle, which is 180 degrees, which is half a circle, pi, or 180. Excellent. So keep counting by pi's over 6. So that's 6 pi over 6. This is 7 pi over 6. Oops. This one is 8 pi over 6. Got to reduce it though. This one is 9 pi over 6. Excellent. This one is 10 pi over 6. Skipping that one because that's special. Remember, that's the little 15-degree one, which is also going to be a special radian one. This one is 11 pi over 6. And then this one is 12 pi over 6. And 12 pi over 6 reduces to 12 divided by 6 is 2 pi. And we did start at 0. Don't forget we started at 0. Okay, so then going back around the circle, just reducing all those. So 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 2 divided by 6, so that reduces. So divide by 2, divide by 2, so that's going to be 1 pi over 3, or just pi over 3. 3 pi over 6 reduces to just pi over 2, 1 pi over 2. This one reduces to 2 pi over, so divide by 2, 6 divided by 2 is 3. So then we keep on reducing, 5 pi over 6, 6 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6. 8 pi over 6 reduces to 4 pi over 3, divide by 2, divide by 2. This one reduces to 3 pi over 6. Whoa, 3 pi over 2, sorry. Because divide by 3, divide by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. 10 pi over 6, divide by 2, reduces to 5 pi over 3, divide by 2, divide by 2. And then 11 pi over 6, then 12 pi over 6. Cool. Okay, now let's do the quarter ones, the 45-degree ones. And so 45, if you're converting it to a radian, you times by pi, divide by 180. And so then we're going to go ahead and reduce that. And so 45 actually goes into 180. So it goes into it 4 times. So divide by 45, divide by 45. So that becomes a 1 pi over, and then 180, because 45, 45 is 90, 45, 45 is 90, so 4 of them. So we're just going to be pi over 4. So we're going to count by pi's over 4, because this is like a fourth, right? That's a fourth, and up here is a fourth, going by chunks of a fourth. Cool. So this one's going to be 1 pi over 4. Then this one's going to be 2 pi over 4, which does reduce to 1/2. Then this one's going to be 3 pi over 4. And then we have 4 pi over 4, which is this one, which of course reduces again to just pi. And then the next one is 5 pi over 4, just going in chunks of a fourth right now. So that's a chunk, right, because that's a fourth right here. And this is another chunk of a fourth of our unit circle. And so this will be, let's see, so 5 pi over 4, then the next one down here is 6 pi over 4, and 6 pi over 4 divided by 2 reduces to 3 pi over 2 still. Same thing. What? Same thing. Okay, so then we got 10 pi over 6. Oh, so then after 6 pi over 4 is, wait for it, 7 pi over 4, and then 8 pi over 4, which reduces to 2 pi once again. Cool. So that's all the radians, all the way around, all those radians. Again, watch my video for more in depth of why all these things are the way they are, especially this next part. So then this next part, I'm not really going to teach you why using 30, 60, 90 and 45, 45, 90. But what I am going to do is I'm going to just run through the pattern really quick so that you can see it and be able to do the same thing on the test. But definitely watch my other video if you want to be in depth of why it is the way it is with these coordinates. So first of all, let's do the easy coordinates. So a unit circle always has a radius of 1, first of all. And so that means this will be over 1, but up 0. This one over here will be back 1, and then up 0. This one will be over 0, but up 1. And then, of course, down below will be over 0, but down 1. So those are those ones done. And now we start in the first quadrant is where we really see our pattern. And so it's going to go like this. Each one of these coordinates is going to be a fraction. That's the first thing you want to know with our pattern. The next thing with our pattern is that you're going to go ahead on the tops and you're going to write it like this. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to go downward again. 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to go ahead and square root them all. So the top gets 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. And then you square root them all. And that's all divided by 2. So every single one is divided by 2, divided by 2, divided by 2, divided by 2. And then, of course, the square root of 1 is just 1. So we're going to change that to just a 1. And over here, square root of 1 is just a 1. So those just become 1/2. And then radical 3 over 2, radical 2 over 2. Cool. Again, watch my video with I also did the exact trig value on the other video too to help you. So definitely watch that video. Cool. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and just mirror image that over the whole circle. So what I mean by that is So this is going to go straight across to this one, right? And you're going to write down the same exact thing. So radical 3 over 2 and 1/2. But then think about it. You're going into the negative area region. And so this is going to be negative radical 3 over 2, and then a positive up a half. So we'll leave that as positive. So maybe we'll label this as negative and then positive, right? For the x and the y. And while we're thinking about that, that means that the third quadrant would be what? The third quadrant would be, so both negative, right? Back and then down. And then the fourth quadrant would also actually be right positive, but then down in the negative region for the y value. Again, these are your x, y values, coordinates that we're talking about for the unit circle right now. And so we'll finish up the unit circle now. And so now we go ahead and just copy it straight over, right? Straight over. So now we have radical 2 over radical 2, but remember the x value is negative, and the y value is positive. And then we have negative a half, and then radical 3 over 2. And if you're still not sure, you can kind of see. So negative a half is 0.5, and radical 3 over 2 is bigger. It's 0.866. So you can kind of see, if you take a look at the triangle that it makes to that point. And so that would be back a half, and then go upwards on the y value, up 0.866, or radical 3 over 2. So that's the triangle it makes. It is a 30, 60, 90 right triangle right there. And so again, watch my video for more explanation about the radical 3 over 2 and a half. Uses the right triangles, 45, 49, 90, 30, 60, 90. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and go down now. So we're going to dot downward. And so now again, this one will be the bigger and down smaller. And so that means that this is negative a half, and this is negative radical 3 over 2. This is negative radical 2 over 2, negative radical 2 over 2, and then this one will be, so we're coming straight down basically, and so then this one will be down here, so it'll be negative a half, and then negative radical 3 over 2. There it is. And now finally our last one, go straight across. So this one will be positive a half, oops, there it is. Positive a half, and then negative radical 3 over 2. This will be positive to the right, radical 2 over 2, but then down, radical 2 over 2. Because you can see that the triangle it's making there is a 45, 45, 90. And, but it's negative in this direction, positive in this direction for x and y. Awesome, or last but not least, this will be over positive radical 3 over 2, and then down negative a half. And there you have it. Ace it on the test, the unit circle. Unit circle. You can also see that this matches. So radical 3 over 2 goes here, and a negative over here, negative down here. Can you see that matching kind of thing going on? Yeah, no, maybe so? You can see the half here in the y position, the y position, the y position, the y position. So you can kind of see it's kind of like a square is what it makes there. And so those will be exactly the same, just changing the signs. And same with the other ones. So thanks for watching. So next we're going to go over to do the find exact trig values and then do the last part of our test. So thanks for watching. See you on the next video. Peace out, brother and sister. Peace out.